Corb Lund is in Germany. Welcome in Munich.
Thank you.
Viejo.
Yeah.
Viejo is the title of your current album.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story behind the Spanish title? What does it represent?
It was a nickname for a friend of mine who passed away. He was 88 years old. He was a songwriter named Ian Tyson. He was a cowboy songwriter, and that was our nickname for him. Mm-hmm. It means the old man in Spanish.
For 2 years he died, I guess.
Yeah, year and a half, too, something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was the old man. El Viejo was our nickname for him. So
okay.
It was dedicated to his memory.
All the songs on this album seem to share a common theme, perhaps even a central character, the gambler, the outlaw, wandering from place to place. Would you describe yourself as a gambler?
Well, literally, I am one, yeah. Yeah, I play a lot of cards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And which song is your favorite song on your new album?
It's the title track is pretty meaningful to me. It's about our friend, so that's a good one. And I really like there's one called The Card Players that I quite like. Mm-hmm. And there's one called It Takes Practice. Yeah. And actually there's another one too that I have a record I made 10 years ago called The Horse Soldier, and it's a lot of military history songs. There's a song on the record that would have fit. I just wrote it recently, but if I had written it back then, it would have fit well on that album. It's that Inshallah song. It's about an Arab desert fighter fighting with the British officer Lawrence of Arabia against the Ottoman Turks in World War One. So it's a story song about a soldier wanting to go back to his family.
Okay.
So I like that one too.
Yeah, is your album number 11?
It's our 10th record of original material, and then we have 3 other records: a live record, and then 2 cover albums.
Yeah. And how has your music evolved over the course of your career? Were there any specific influences?
Well, this new record is a bit different because we did it entirely acoustically. Like, there's not a single electric instrument on the whole record. It's all acoustic stuff, mandolins and banjos and upright bass and just acoustic, and no electric guitars. And we recorded it in an old style way, just the 4 of us sitting in a circle. There's no studio magic. It's just the 4 of us playing the songs. So the more that I evolve as an artist, the more I appreciate rawness, and the less I appreciate pretty shiny things in music. I like raw and raw humanity in the music.
Raw and pure.
Yeah, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah. You often describe your music as new Western or alternative country or something like that. How would you define your own style?
I don't know. I mean, I made a record recently called Agricultural Tragic. That was kind of a sarcastic way of defining my own genre. So if people ask me, sometimes I say agricultural tragic. It reminds me of an art style or something. The name of it. But yeah, like a lot of my songs, like, it's strange because what's happening in country music these days, even fringe country music, there's not very much agricultural content in the lyrics, like actual rural content. And I write a lot about cattle and horses and ranching and that kind of thing. And so we're sort of unique in that way, in that not all of my songs are about that kind of thing, but a lot of my songs are about actual agricultural life. So that's my family's been ranching and raising cattle for generations. So that's what I sing about.
You live in Alberta in Canada, on a ranch with your family? Yeah,
Alberta is the western part of Canada in the Rocky Mountains, and our family ranch is just about 6 miles north of the Montana border in the States. So yeah, we're very close to the Rockies and close to Montana. Yeah.
As a young man, you listened to punk rock and even toured Europe with the metal bands The Smalls.
Yeah.
What made you switch to country music?
Well, it's actually, the question really is what made me get into heavy music, because it makes sense that I would play country music because I grew up in the country and my family are all cowboys and I listened to that music as a child. So what happened was I guess some people find cowboy lifestyle interesting and exotic, but to me, it was just normal life. Mm-hmm. So when I discovered Black Sabbath and Motorhead, I found that really interesting to me. That was something new and different, and I dove into it, much to the alarm of my parents. And that's what actually made me pick up a guitar was heavy rock music. And then I did that for about 10 years, but I was still interested in Western music the whole time, and I was writing Western songs that whole period. And then when the rock band retired in 2001, I just started doing this full time. Mm-hmm. But it's not as strange as people think to do both. I mean, I tell them it's like playing hockey and football, you know, or it's like painting with oils and sketching. It's just different. It's not as different as people think. It's just a different culture and different moods. And I understand both cultures. So.
And both are music.
Yeah.
What is like for you to perform your own music live and connect with your audience?
Well, that's the only reason I do it, honestly. Yeah. Like, I mean, the thing after I've been doing this my whole adult life, and I still to this day really, really enjoy the communication aspect of it and like expressing. And I'm fortunate. Well, it depends how you look at it. Like, I'm not on a major label, and I'm not a huge act, but the advantage of that is that I can write about whatever I want, and I can make whatever kind of record I want. I've never had anyone try to tell me to do this or do that. I have the freedom to do absolutely whatever I want to do. So being able to do that and write the songs exactly how I want to write them and present them exactly how I want to present them is really satisfying. So playing live is the most fun part of all. Making records is kind of fun, but if it wasn't for the live shows, I wouldn't do it. Because to me, it's a big hour-long conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't use a set list. Every night's improvised.
Okay.
I have hand signals for the band.
Yeah.
So that, and I've gotten to the point where I really enjoy managing the journey of the every evening's different. Like, sometimes it's more quiet and sometimes it's more aggressive, or sometimes it goes through a different arc or a different journey. But I really enjoy the spontaneity of making a set list up as I go.
So every concert is unique.
Totally different. Yeah. And we have 10 albums to draw from. Yeah. So it's totally, yeah.
And today's concert in Munich is the last of this tour in Germany. How were the previous shows in Germany?
Excellent. Yeah, really great. And it's been interesting because we've toured here before, but much smaller shows, because we're opening for a big band called the Dead South, also Canadian. But when we play, we get a couple of hundred people. But with these guys, we're playing for 2,000 to 5,000 every night. And so most people haven't heard us before, and it's been really excellent reception. So I'm really happy. That's the purpose of opening for someone, is to.
And is the German audience different from the audience in the US, Canada, or UK?
Yeah, a little bit. It seems like people here really pay close attention, and they're here on time. Like at home, sometimes for the opening act, people come in during the show, but every single show here, everyone's seated, ready to go before we start, and they listen closely and pay attention, and it's really nice.
Yeah, and Corb, definitely we have to talk about the coal mining.
Okay.
You have repeatedly expressed criticism of coal mining in your home country. You denounce the environmental damage, the social impact on indigenous communities, and the contradiction to the goal of climate neutrality. And in your song, The Kicking Horse from 2007, you address the destruction of the landscape by coal mining in the Rocky Mountains.
Say the last thing again. 2007, what?
In your song, The Kicking Horse.
Bucking Horse Rider? Which song?
The Kicking Horse.
Kicking Horse?
The Kicking Horse? It's not?
No.
From 2007.
I have one called This Is My Prairie. Is that what you're talking about? The song about the coal mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called This Is My Prairie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry, my fault.
It's okay.
And in interviews, you criticize subsidies for the coal industry and demand an end to the coal exports.
Yeah.
Has your involvement in the discussion about coal mining made a difference?
Well, we've slowed them down. They're still pushing very hard in the background, but we've slowed them down. It's still ongoing. And I always make it clear to people, I'm actually not an environmental zealot. Like I'm not, like I understand at this point, we still need oil and gas, and we still need a lot of these things. But at this point in time, we really don't need the coal that they want to get out of our area. And it's coal is a sunset industry, like it's on its way out. And it's really, really devastating to the water systems. And as a person from an agricultural background, water is the most important thing. And it was interesting because it wasn't, left-leaning environmentalists that got me into this movement. It was cattle ranchers whose ranches were going to be destroyed by these open pit coal mines and whose water was going to be contaminated. So yeah, I make it clear to people that I'm not against all resources, and I'm not against all mining even. It's just that you have to look at each project on its own merits. And this particular project doesn't make any sense. It's not economically viable, and it's going to just make a big mess. And it's just the only people benefiting from it really are the foreign coal mines and the politicians who are, I'm assuming, being paid.
What role can music play in making the place, the world a better place?
I don't know. I wonder sometimes if it can make any difference at all. But I mean, so far, in my particular case, one of the reasons it's been successful is that I have never been political my entire career. Like I've never been in politics. I've always stayed out of it because I believe that art sometimes has a role to play above the current events noise. I think sometimes people need an escape from that every day, especially these days. But this particular issue was right in my backyard, and it was very egregious and important. And the reason that it was effective is that it was a very wide spectrum of people politically who are against the coal mines, because the government is quite conservative at the moment, and they're the ones pushing for it. And the left-leaning half of the province are always against coal mining, and the government doesn't care. But the thing that really made them pay attention was a lot of people from their own voter base, like ranchers and farmers and hunters and fishermen, people who probably vote conservative, were also against the coal mines. Yeah. So it was a very wide coalition of people. And I'm in a position at home where a lot of my audience are rural, conservative, rural, agricultural people. I have a very wide audience. So I think they paid attention more than they would if it was a hippie saying it, if you understand.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a very complicated issue, but I hate politics. I think all politicians are crooks. And my only goal in this is to just not have the water and the mountains ruined. We have a generational ranch that we've had for 4 generations, and I can very much understand the attachment to the land that people have, and that's why I'm involved, because I sympathize with the landowners who are going to be wiped out by this.
You live with your family on a ranch?
I don't anymore. I'm about an hour away, but I spend a lot of time there.
How important is life to nature to you, and how does it influence your music? Yeah, how important is life in nature to you?
Oh, it's pretty important, and it comes up in my music. There's a few songs about that kind of thing. But yeah, like the area that we're from is very beautiful. It's in the mountains, and I'm sure people around here would understand. But the mountains are beautiful, and it's one of the prettiest places on the planet that I've ever seen. So yeah, I'm very protective of it, and it's very, very close to me.
Yeah. And what do you enjoy doing in your free time when you are not on stage or in studio?
I read a lot, play cards, and fix fence, chase cows on the ranch.
Okay. What are your plans for the future?
I think I'm thinking I'm going to make another metal record one of these years.
Oh, okay.
I might do another acoustic record, but yeah, it's an ongoing artistic life. But it's been really fun to play in Europe. I would very much like to come back here again. It's been quite a long time since we've been here, and so coming here with the Dead South with such a big audience to play for, hopefully will help us to book another tour next year.
Is there anything you would like to tell your fans about yourself and your music that you have never been asked before?
I'm not sure. You have to ask me something. I think it's interesting because I feel like my band are fantastic. They're all really good musicians, and I'm an adequate musician. Like my singing and my guitar playing are adequate, but that's about it. I'm not a natural singer or a natural guitar player. I've had to toil away to learn every ounce of my ability on those instruments. But I think if I have any natural talent at all, it might be with the writing. And so I think that that's one of the more interesting parts of our band is the way that the writing interacts with my band's versatility, because our records are quite diverse usually. Like there's many different styles of song on each record, and that's a credit to, well, partly because I want to do it that way, but also that my band is versatile enough to play many different styles.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm songwriting, it's very it's an open book. It's a blank slate, a blank canvas, and so yeah, the writing process for me is one of the most interesting parts, and not many people ask me about that part. So yeah.
Great. Corb, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us for country.de and hanging with us. Have a great show today. In 1 hour, you have to go on stage.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.